So welcome back, everybody, for the next hour. First Nations Housing Community Working Group members Clarence Meekus and Keith Lawrence will be sharing key takeaways from the National First Nations Housing Survey done by the First Nations Housing Community in the last quarter of 2024. This was mainly to identify some of the key challenges that were prevalent and also to gather feedback from the home occupants leadership and everyone else who was working in the First Nations housing. Clarence Meekus is currently working with KO, and Keith Lawrence is working with Windigo. So let's listen. Let's bring them up to the stage. So ladies and gentlemen, a nice, wonderful round of applause for these two sexy duos right here. Come on, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mambo number 5. One, two, three, four, five. Everybody in the car, so come on, let's ride to the liquor store around the corner. The boys say they want some gin and juice, but I really don't wanna be a buzz like I had last week. I must stay deep, cause talk is cheap. I like Angela, Pamela, Sandra, and Rita. And as I continue, you know they're getting sweeter. So what can I do? I really bag you, my lord. To me, flirting is just like a sport. Anything fly, it's all good, let me.
Okay, all right. How's everyone doing? All righty then. It's good to be here with you. I know this session ends up the last one of the day. Hopefully you're still here full of energy and ready to learn together. Like was said, we took up a national survey, and we will go through some of the results. Not all of them. The first version of this slideshow presentation was over 200 slides. So we'll be here till about 7 o'clock. If we keep moving. I'm just kidding. It's much shorter. We just took select things out of the survey results, but we wanted to present some of the focus, the questions, and then the responses. So, we will be on the screen. Sorry, I have two screens open here, and we will be reading together this work. So, why was it important to conduct the survey? So we have. We needed to pick some things to focus on. Otherwise, it would be an endless survey and pick components that we see many of our communities having challenges with. And these two of the ones we decided to focus on were process as one focus and communications as another focus, and then where those fit in home repairs or the home repair process, and then the waitlist selection process. We will define those terms a little bit for what we want to understand together. So part of the goal was to identify key challenges in communication and processes related to those areas, the home repair process and waitlist selection. To gather these perspectives, we focused on home occupants living on reserve. So, and who here did the survey? It was an online survey, so there's a bunch of you that completed the survey. There were some prizes that were associated with completing them. One of the things, though, that you marked, if you marked your home occupant, if you weren't a home occupant on reserve, it would kind of boot you out of the survey. But we still needed those perspectives, and then we pulled also leadership members within First Nations leadership, and then workers in housing management. So those are terms that will be used throughout the survey and throughout the presentation. Yeah, and to look and understand what the gaps are. Why does this matter? Why does the survey matter? Why does it matter for us to learn together? So we can reflect your voices and the voices of home occupants and housing professionals across the country. And of course, you all provided valuable insights, invaluable insights into those. And this, our goal is to work together to build a roadmap and even a toolkit, I'll say, resources to improve housing and housing systems, the way housing works on reserve in our communities, and look at the gaps and the challenges. I'm not sure what's going on here. Your participation and collaboration are key to driving change. You know, the goals of the housing community is to remain holistic and have grassroots approach to how we look at housing. So it's not just a top-down approach in looking at all of these topics, even in how we select workshop topics and themes. Your contributions to the survey, we had over 1,450 survey responses. The largest area of response was the dark gray. No, I was going to say they're light gray, gray, and dark gray. Is that what we see today? It was kind of the reddest. The dark red is home occupants, as you can see, the largest area of response. Yellow being housing manager and administration, housing worker, and then leadership, chief and council, the red response area. So that's how the survey responses were broken down. Majority lived on reserve. Home occupants, almost 70% compared to by area. Leadership, 73%, and housing management, 68, is that what it is? In the case of home occupants, all respondents who completed the survey live on reserve. That was a default answer question, the way the survey worked, while leadership and housing management survey included participants living both on and off. So many housing professionals work near communities, so that was meant. We still want to gather the information and get the important feedback. Here's our participation from across the country. So from all 13 provinces and territories, we had survey responses, with the largest being from Ontario in the red, also sharing that with BC, where they were both over 30%, and then spread across the rest of the country in various amounts. So very good uptake and participation.
Just to give Clarence a little break from the mic, but just surveying the audience, how many of you live on reserve right now? And how many are from BC? Anybody from BC here? Oh, we got one. Wow. Must be a good travel budget there. Okay, so obviously we get the survey results and we get the select few when we do the survey. It doesn't represent everyone, but what we're telling you is who it represents when they did the survey. So 73% were women, 27% men, and the majority of the home occupants do not work within their community. Okay, so that would mean they'd be on welfare or just unemployed. Okay, nearly 70% live with 2 to 5 family members, and the majority of participants have held jobs for over 3 years. Okay, next slide. Accessible. Oh, yeah, and over 80% of the communities are accessible year-round by road. So show of hands, how many live in accessible communities year-round? How many are in remote communities? Flying in the... Okay. Thanks. Next. Yeah. All right, so now we're on to the home repair process and findings. So, so this part of the survey focused on people that needed a home repair. And we've all dealt with home repair in our homes. And so this talks about the strategies and how we communicate that and how we go about finding a process to repair your home. Okay. Yeah. So the questions we're going through, the questions that we asked. So the home occupant, we asked them, have you ever had a home repair issue in your home? And then for the survey would break it into the leadership and the housing management portion. And we would ask the question similar, but in your position, have you ever received home repair requests from on-reserve community members? So what we found here was 86% of them said the majority of the home occupants reported having home repair issues. So 86% of the home occupants, and the leadership and housing management were coinciding with that, where they were saying 84 and 79. So everybody's kind of on the same page. The home occupants have the issues, and the housing management seems to be aware of it. So the next question we asked the home occupant, if you had an issue in your home, how would you make a home repairs request? And for the leadership, if the members had their issue in the home, how do they make a home repairs request? So this was interesting to see if the two were on the same page. Right. So to break this up a little bit quickly, it's the left side of the community, the left side of the graph is kind of showing contacting the housing management or the leadership, kind of guiding in ways that I would say, if as a tribal council member or housing management, you would want them to be using, and or the process would be there. And then the right side is options like do nothing, spread it on social media, do it yourself, and so if we're looking at the data, a large majority are actually answering that they did contact the housing committee or management, they visited the band office, they contacted chief and council. They used the strategy that was contacting the people that would help them with that. All right, so next question, we went to the home occupant. We asked, are you familiar with the process for requesting home repairs in your community? And then the leadership part in the home housing management, we asked them, how familiar do you think your community members are with the process for requesting home repairs? And this one, I would say that would, in my mind, it reflect in a position of leadership management, you may have doubts that people understand or are a little bit more leery that the process is understood, mainly because of, I believe, just the number of complaints or requests that you get, the number of questions you get, and then the home occupant on the left, the darker side, they're stating that they're more familiar with it in their answers. So that was interesting. So home repair, continuing on, how useful do you find the communication between you and the housing authorities regarding repair requests? And then the leadership, how useful do you think community members find the communication between them and the housing authorities regarding repair requests? Again, the questions I find are, you might see a little bit more the heavy weighted on the right side for the housing management and the leadership, because again, they're hearing the complaints, they have more of the doubts of people understanding, and the left side, the home occupants, they're answering, half of them said, 46% said that they were more understanding. So they...
All right, carrying on. So home occupants, the question on the survey, in your experience, how long did it take for a major repair to be completed after you submitted a request. Same question to the leadership and housing management. Based on your experience, how long does it typically take for major repairs to be completed in your community after a request is submitted? Home occupants reported longer delays and more incomplete major repairs compared to the perceptions of leadership and housing management. That middle box is saying more than, what does it say? More than a year. So some of the respondents mentioned waiting a long time. In many cases, more than a year. Let me say something. Okay. We didn't necessarily differentiate. We understand that major repairs and minor repairs can mean different things in different communities. Some it's by dollar amount, some it's by the complexity of the repair request. For example, it could be something really simple as, say, a smoke detector. Kind of a simple issue, but a major consideration and major priority. So, you know, some of these things could be like doorknobs or issues with interior doors, that kind of thing. Just so the questions, in your experience, how long did it take for a minor repair to be completed after you submitted a request? And then the leadership and management question. Based on your experience, how long does it typically take for minor repairs to be completed in your community after a request is submitted? Some of the results here, from starting to immediately to never on the far right. The boxes highlight more than a year. What does it say? What's the next one? The right box. Okay, repairs rarely get completed. So, of course, home occupants report longer delays in this example or in this question and more incomplete minor repairs compared to the perceptions of leadership and housing management. So there is differences in how we view the housing, some of these housing issues in our communities. Next question, what are the main challenges you face when trying to request or understand the process for home repairs? And of course, then there were a variety of selections. The same question posed to leadership in the survey. What do you think are the main challenges community members face when trying to request or understand the process for home repairs? Again, a variety of answers. Home occupants believe that slow response times are their primary issue, where housing management and leadership believe a majority of the issues lie in the lack of information and unclear procedures. So, you know, we have different understandings of the same issues or different experiences, and maybe it relates to a communication issue as well, and we will look at some of those questions and answers as well. On the far left, it says slow response times. The far right says other challenges. What's that bottom word? Unspecified. Okay. Next question in the survey, as a home occupant, do you feel you have a role in performing any basic home repairs yourself? If you've been in some of the sessions, we've heard about some of these things. How do you define responsibility around homes and having a home and being a home occupant? Leadership and management, do you feel community members have a role in performing some basic home repairs themselves? So kind of the same question. There is broad agreement among all groups that community members have a role in performing basic home repairs. So for home occupants, over 70%, leadership even more so, over 80%. So they agree together. Next question, home occupants, would you be interested in receiving training to help you perform basic home repairs yourself? Same question posed to leadership. Do you think your community members would be interested in receiving training to help them perform basic home repairs themselves? Some of the responses, leadership and housing management believe that there is a higher interest among community members in receiving training for basic home repairs compared to the interest expressed by home occupants. So the things below, the far left is leadership, 76, nearly 77% believe there is interest, where on the far right is home occupants, and they're at nearly, nearly 50%. So generally there is interest in understanding that there is some responsibility to be shared. And I know many of you here have different experiences in your community. I've worked in communities where, you know, new or housing occupants, home occupants don't get either a new home or new living space for themselves until they take a basic home maintenance training course. Could be an evening course or a day course, that type of thing. I know there's different ways communities approach that kind of thing, but it is important to define responsibility, I think, with our assets. Question, what is the best way to keep you informed about your housing repair request status? Again, that question posed to leadership and management. What do you think is the best way to keep community members informed about their housing repair request status? So how do they know where they stand in the list of housing repair needs? A variety of answers. Home occupants prefer email updates. So this is a how, kind of on the communications. How do we receive updates and information? Home occupants prefer email updates and direct mail, while leadership and housing management prioritize community meetings and newsletters. All groups showing less interest in social media. We found that really interesting. I know some communities where leadership, you know, generally don't participate in social media just because it can be difficult to hear, you know, objectively what people's needs are. The responses range from email updates, I'm sure, to community meetings and others. All of the options. Everything had options to consider for answers. Next question, what is the best way to keep you informed about your housing repairs request status? Next, same question to leadership, what do you think is the best way to keep community members informed about their housing repairs request status? Again, a variety of questions or responses. Leadership and housing management believe that there is a higher interest among community members in receiving training. This seems like is it the wrong slide? I think I went back instead of forward. This is the one I just did, right? Yep. Okay. Okay. Sure.
Okay, so we'll move on to the second part of this. You can go back to that. Was it that one or the other? Yeah, this was the one that, sorry, Clarence went backwards instead of forwards, I think. I think that was the same one. Okay. No, just go. Okay, so we moved on to the second part of the survey. That was the for a housing wait list. How many of you have physically seen a housing wait list for new homes? Have you seen something written at the community level or the board? Okay. Okay, yes. So a wait list, for those of you who don't know, refers to the list of those seeking housing solutions for a new house. So. Right. Right. Yeah. So yeah, it's sometimes it's not a new house, but it could be new to the family. But it's when the housing becomes available, who's next on the list. So typical criteria for housing wait list. So we got different types of situations: emergency or vulnerable situations, current housing conditions, overcrowding, medical conditions, households with children or elderly, large families or households. So amount of time that's on a wait list. It's to I don't envy leadership for when they have to decide or prioritize the list, because you have all these scenarios in play. Okay. And similar to that, if you get a weighted scoring strategy, some communities do have this where you have a scoring system, and you'll use that for the priorities and prioritizing the list, to basically create a fair way or process of creating that list in an order. Okay, so the first question we asked: how aware of you are the steps required to apply for housing and get placed on the housing wait list? Same thing with the leadership. How aware of you the community members are of the steps required to apply for the housing wait list? And the answers came in. The home occupants were less aware, and the home leadership and management were more aware. Most were answering somewhat aware. Yeah. Next question was: how clear are you on the selection criteria for determining your position on the housing wait list? And for the leadership, how clear do you think the members feel about the selection criteria for determining the wait list? And this one, the answers came in for the housing management and leadership. They felt that majority of them were answering somewhat clear, whereas the home occupants were all over the map in terms of their answers, but more 36% were saying not aware of any criteria. So obviously the communication may be coming from the leadership or the housing management, but not being received or listened to at the occupant level. Okay, so the next question we had: how often do you receive updates about your current status on the housing wait list? And how often do the community members receive updates about their current status on the housing wait list? So the housing occupants said they basically never receive updates. We had 41% saying that, 34% saying they actually said, I don't know. They threw the question out, I guess. For housing management and leadership, they're someone in the middle, saying they rarely receive updates. Okay, so the next question: do you feel these updates are useful in keeping you informed? And how useful do you feel these updates are keeping the community members informed to leadership? Oh, okay. And so this one, the housing occupant, they feel that it's less useful. They don't feel it's there, and the housing management are saying somewhat useful. So they're feeling, the efforts are made. All right. So home occupant. Next question: in your opinion, what could be done to improve the housing waitlist process to make it more efficient, transparent, and fair for the community members? And asking the leadership, in your opinion, what could be done to improve the housing waitlist process to make it more efficient, transparent, and fair to the community members? And the answers, which I think we're not surprised about, but clear communication about how the wait list works. I think that everybody that answers was the majority that were answering in that area. And the one on the right actually was kind of the same. It's clear and transparent information about waiting times. So obviously clear communication was the result of that question.
All right, next question. What is the best way to home occupants to keep you informed about your housing waitlist status? Same question posed to leadership. What do you think is the best way to keep community members informed about their housing waitlist status? Email and direct mail or direct correspondence are the most preferred communication methods across all groups. Leadership believes methods such as community meetings and newsletters are preferred. It looks like all of the groups agreed, for the most part, on the different options. And I know, communication and the way we relate to community members relate to each other, relate to leadership, drives a lot of those kinds of opportunities to understand these things. Next question. Oh, so we're on to conclusions. A couple more slides here. So through the questions, some of the questions were demographic questions, so we obviously didn't include them, although we had some of the information there. But we've seen how each group, home occupants, leadership, and housing management, brings unique perspectives and valuable insights to the table. So hearing the variety of answers, and some are perceptions and perspectives, but all of these help us form and plan for better processes, better communication. The study identified areas of alignment and shared priorities such as clear communication and the importance of transparency, providing a strong foundation for collaboration. So that's working together. We've also encountered differing perceptions regarding communication, response times, and resource allocation. There are opportunities for capacity building initiatives that can streamline our housing planning processes and enhance community engagement, giving us clear pathways to driving impactful housing programs. Moving from insights to action. So we are having a session again on the Thursday, day 3 of the event, and look to further talk about some of these important topics together and have some case study scenario questions. And our goal is to have like a toolkit, process, approach, resources available, say through a website, the housing community website, where we can use things like this. Say we may have a template for a home repair process, or templates for how you build a wait list for your community for new housing or available housing, maybe how scoring can work, or criteria, what matters for you and your community planning with your community members, and how people get or understand priority in your communities. Thank you. I think that's our presentation, so thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll pass the mic back to our awesome facilitator here.